I spent 14 days on an island hopping tour in Greece with Rhodes Scholar, and it was an amazing journey. So in an attempt to capture it all, I created this 4-part video series to share all the high-level details with you. In video 1 of this 4-part video series, I covered days 1 through 3 of my trip. In video 2, I covered days 4 through 7. In this video, video 3, I'll cover days 8 through 11, which will cover our time in Santorini in Oia, our formal Greek dinner and dancing, our exploration of Akrotiri, Paros, and Kamari, our infamous ferry ride to Heraklion, and our time in Naoussa. And last, in my next video, video 4, I'll cover days 12 through 14, which will cover our time in Gortna, Fistos, Vori, Matala, Rethmon, Hania, and then finally back to Athens on an overnight ferry. If you haven't yet watched video 1 or 2, be sure to visit the playlist in the description of this video. You don't want to miss it. But for now, let's get started. On day 8, we had a late morning start. At 10:30 a.m., we all met up in the hotel lobby for a quick walk to our rides that took us to the port of Paros. Once we arrived at the port, we waited about an hour before our scheduled ferry ride arrived around noon. Once the ferry was ready, we all gathered on board, walked to our assigned seats, and rode the ferry about 3.5 hours to Santorini. After we all disembarked into the crater of Santorini, we got on our bus and took a narrow, twisted road up about 1,000 feet high and several miles long to the next hotel where we would be living for the next 2 nights. The evening included a 2-hour walk exploring the town of Oia, followed by dinner at a local restaurant. Oia is the town that is most famously known for its churches with blue-top domes. During our walk, it was glaringly obvious that the town was nothing more than hotels and shops. In other words, it was one giant and unfortunately dirty tourist trap. If shopping is your thing, perhaps you won't mind the area. But I was excited to finally leave the town in the evening. We all gathered on our charter bus once again and made our way towards the small town of Kamari for dinner and a Greek night of traditional dancing. Dinner was amazing, but the dancing made the night even more memorable. After dinner, our traditional Greek show began with a short video highlighting landmarks on the island of Santorini. Then, musicians and performers took to the stage. After they danced for a few songs, they politely forced everyone in the group to dance by calmly taking our hands and walking us to the center of the room. We all danced a few different dances, including a community dance, and then ended the night smashing plates, which is a Greek tradition. According to GreekReporter.com, smashing plates has been used to signal the end in the beginning, to ward off evil spirits, and to express abundance. On day 9, we explored the prehistoric site of Akrotiri located on the southern tip of the island. Akrotiri is a town that was covered by a volcano eruption around 1500 BC and was discovered in 1967. It is thought that only 3% of the entire prehistoric town has been discovered. During a 2-hour excursion, we walked through the site and learned about its excavation efforts, artifacts that have been found, and the limitations presented by the excavation team. Meaning, even though the site was discovered in 1967, it still hasn't been fully excavated because the project is limited by funding. After walking the site, we then drove to the museum that houses the artifacts that were recovered from the site. While at the museum, we learned even more about the artifacts, and we saw mock drawings of what the town's buildings may have looked like before being covered in volcano ash. In the afternoon, we were given free time and had lunch on our own. Some Rhodes scholars took the opportunity to bathe in the sun and swim in the hotel pool. I used my time to go to the gym after eating lunch. Later in the evening, we all met up for a wine tasting event at a family-owned winery that has been owned by the family since the late 1800s. We tasted 4 different wines and of course had the opportunity to buy a few bottles. After our wine tasting, we were given time to walk through the winery's underground cave that has been turned into a museum. The museum teaches everything about the family's history and the history of how wine has been manufactured over the years. The walk through the cave takes about an hour if you actually stop to read everything. Otherwise, it's only about 800 meters in length or about a 10-minute walk. After our wine tasting and museum tour, we finally made it to another local restaurant for dinner, where we all ate traditional Greek food while the sun set. After dinner, we made it back to our rooms about 9:30 at night before finally retiring to bed. Day 10 was our last day on the island of Santorini, but we didn't waste any time. This was also the day of our infamous voyage to remember. We began the day around 9:30 a.m. with a field trip to Pyrgos, a traditional Greek village. During this trip, we walked through the town and discussed the issues surrounding the vanishing village life in the Greek islands. I also took advantage of capturing an amazing view from the peak of the hilltop town of Pyrgos Callistus. Because we were once again blessed with a beautiful day, the view was expansive. It captured several towns, the local airport, mountains, and of course, the sea. After our stop in Pyrgos, we headed to the beach in Parikia, a town in Kamari on the south side of Santorini. We enjoyed lunch right off the beach and had a few hours to spend for leisure. After this last afternoon in Santorini, we headed to the port for our transfer to the island of Crete. We didn't know it at the time, but this was probably one of the worst sailing experiences a lot of folks had. Because of the winds, getting on board the ferry was already choppy. But once we hit the open seas, the ship was affected by even more winds. Turns out, we were transiting for 2 hours in a sea state 6, which means wave heights got up to about 6 feet. A sea state 6 is also 2 sea states under the maximum permitted sea state to sail, so it was rough. Any and everyone who was sensitive to motion released their lunch in more than a few bags, and the ship lost a lot of dishes. The seas were so rough, the captain made an announcement to ensure everyone stayed in their seats for their safety. Every time a large wave hit the starboard side of the ship or the right side of the ship would shudder heavily from left and right, and then quickly drop a few feet into the large wave that moved it. I'm not normally affected by rough seas, but even I got a headache. So, when I say people were relieved to get off the ferry after the 2 hours they experienced losing their lunch or watching the people next to them lose their lunch, it's an understatement. Fortunately, no one was hurt as far as I know, and we all finally made it safely to the island of Crete. After a short bus ride to our drop-off point, we had a short ride to our hotel, the Lato Boutique. After checking in and marveling at our rooms, we had a bit of time to freshen up before heading to dinner. Dinner was served on the rooftop of the hotel, from which we could look onto the Aegean Sea and marvel at an old Venetian fort in the distance. The meal was amazing. We had Greek salad, a few other appetizers, and finally pork and rice for a main meal. Since dinner ended a bit late, around 9:30 p.m., a lot of Rhodes scholars went to their rooms for the night. I ended up walking to the local gym, finishing my workout a little after 11 p.m. before walking back to the hotel and returning in for the night. With the infamous ferry ride behind us, Sunday was a much better day. It was also my wife's birthday, and luckily she was feeling much better than how she felt after the ferry ride. But like many of our other days, today was also a packed day. It started at 9:30 a.m. and didn't officially end until about 8:30 p.m. There were 4 program activities and 1 optional activity. We started the day transiting towards Crete's best-known archaeological site, Naoussa. The Palace of Naoussa was once the ceremonial and political center of the Minoan civilization and was abandoned in the Late Bronze Age, 1300 to 1100 BC, for unknown reasons. Its location and confusing architectural design have made many believe this is the legendary home of King Mykonos and the site of the famed labyrinth in which he placed his son, the Minotaur. Our second activity on this day was to the town of Thrapsano. In Thrapsano, we went to a pottery workshop to see and learn how pottery was made and to understand the ups and downs of the pottery profession.
The governor over there asked Pythagoras to create a cup to prevent people from drinking wine excessively. So up to a certain level, they could fill the cup and have 1 cup of wine, but not more than that. Fill it more, then you lose the full wine.
Mainly, we learned that today's youth are choosing to attend universities rather than join in their families' trades. Once I learned how much the pottery charges for its largest pots, which was only about 50 euros or roughly $50 US, I can understand the youth's decisions if they are financially motivated to earn more than what seems to me to be a meager wage for a lot of work. After our visit to the pottery barn, we enjoyed a delicious lunch at a family-run taverna where all produce was grown in their local garden. While at lunch, we even saw the gathering of a Greek baptism celebration, which gave our tour guide an opportunity to teach us about the Greek culture's baptism rituals as well. I didn't take any video out of respect for the family, but just imagine a wedding with 300 guests all eating in a restaurant. It was like that, but for a 1-year-old baby. After lunch, we made our way back to the town of Heraklion and accompanied our tour guide on an optional trip to a local museum. The museum held many artifacts found during the excavation of many of the archaeological sites around the region. Still, the day didn't end there. Later in the evening, as we were served wine, water, ouzo, which is an alcohol made from a grapevine, and other appetizers, we learned about the local flora grown in the region. It was an amazing 1-hour lecture that discussed the importance of vegetation in the region, including the importance of the export of olive oil, one of the island's largest exports. Immediately following our floral lecture, the hotel chef gave us a cooking demonstration. We prepared 2 quick dishes as he taught us how to prepare them ourselves. One dish was tzatziki and the other was a dish similar to bruschetta called dikos. He also told us how, as head chef, he was given the autonomy to create the hotel menu and how he could change it at any time. That was exciting to hear and made the demonstration even more impressive for me. I mean, the hotel's chef took an hour of his time to answer our questions and gave us a personal cooking demonstration. Amazing. By the time 8 p.m. came around, my wife and I was ready to eat again. So because the group had dinner on our own, my wife and I ate at the hotel's rooftop bar since she didn't eat there the day before because of her motion sickness from the ferry. Other Rhodes scholars went to other local area restaurants and spent a lot less money than our hotel restaurant prices. But I was satisfied with my meal and the prices that we paid. Besides, how best to reward the chef for his personal presentation than to pay him the respect to eat in his restaurant. After dinner, my wife and I were beat, so we finally made it to our room around 11 p.m., prepared for the next day, and went to sleep right before midnight. And that's it! Days 8 through 11 of my 14-day island hopping Rhodes Scholar tour package in Greece. I hope it was informative. The next video will conclude my trip, but there will still be plenty more sites to see and explore. It will cover days 12 through 14, and I will be discussing our exploration of the island of Crete, including the towns of Phistos, Vori, Rethmon, and Hydnia. And I will also discuss our overnight ferry ride back from Crete to mainland Greece and much more. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss it. And in the meantime, remember, go out and go travel. You have everywhere to go see.